Hello guys, in this video we're going to be creating a dynamic button component using Vue.js. So let me open Chrome real quick and let me navigate to codesandbox.io. So I've been using CodeSandbox a lot lately. This website offers you some basic project templates, or we can say setups, to get started very quickly on stuff. So let me start a Vue project real quick. Yep. So as you can see, this thing here on the left is the IDE, and the stuff on the right is the preview of what you write here on the left side. So let me quickly get rid of this, get rid of this, get rid of these things, get rid of the styles. Let me make it pretty basic. So let me write something here. Hello. Yep. So as I type on the left, you can see it loading on the right side. It's quick. Let me decrease the size of the sidebar. Let me go into the components directory and let me create a component here. So we're going to develop a button, a dynamic button. So let me create a file called button.vue, and this file will let's inject some Vue boilerplate code in this. So if you're going to type Vue and then press tab, it's going to inject the basic boilerplate code for you in the file. Let's return a button here, and this button is going to have some text. Let's say click, and in the app.vue file, let's import it as app button from /components/button, and let's include it into the components object button, and let's return it in the template called app-button. Okay, cool. So now we have a very basic looking button with the name of click, or we can say a button text of click, and it pretty much does nothing right now. It's not dynamic at all. So now let's work together on making it dynamic. Let me split the screen here. Let me decrease this a little bit so you guys can see the button here. So this is our app file, this is our button file. So if I'm going to copy this thing and paste it multiple times, it's going to render the same thing again and again, which doesn't look really useful, right? So let me get rid of the other two buttons. So let's start with getting in a prop called button text, which is going to render some dynamic text into the button. Let's receive a prop called button text. It's going to have a type of string, and it's going to have some default value to it, which is going to be a string. And let's say it says a label, because it's going to be a label here, right? A button label. So if the user doesn't pass any prop from the main file, from the parent to the child component, it's still going to render something here instead of having something like this. This is better, right? So let's pass in something from here. So let's do button text equals to let's say click me, and save it. Okay, so it's a capital T. Yep. So if I'm gonna pass on a prop to the app button component, it's gonna render the text which is coming in the form of a prop. If I'm not gonna pass anything from here, it's gonna render the default text, which is label. All right. So now it's in this position, it's a little reusable. If I'm going to copy the main component and paste it a multiple times, and let's say this is click me 1, click me 2, and click me 3, it's going to render me 3 buttons, and the code was written only once, but the button was included thrice in the main file, which is a little dynamic, we can say. Let's comment these two out, and let's do something more with it. Let me think. Let's create two classes. Let's name the first class as light mode. Let's create a button with two themes, light and dark. The light one is gonna have a background color of white, and it's gonna have a text color of, let's say, black. Right, and background is going to be black in this case, and the color is going to be white. So if I'm going to say class and I'm going to say dark, it's going to make it a dark button. So let's create a base button class which is going to have some base styles. Let's say a padding of 10 pixels. Let's make it 20, and let's include it here, base button. Oh, 20 is a lot. Let's do a 10. Let's do a border none to make it a little cleaner. Let's do a radius of 10 pixels. Okay, sorry, it's border radius. 10 is a lot. I think 8 will work pretty much fine. 4, yeah, 4 looks decent. Okay, so now if I'm going to change the class to light, it's going to render a light button. But in the light button, let's give it a border of 1 pixel solid. Let's do a gray. Yeah, gray looks pretty fine. Let's do a cursor, pointer, so that we get a hand-like thing on this, and this makes it a little user-friendly, so that users can know this is a clickable button. I guess this is enough for theming a button. So now let's render the class on the basis of a prop. So let's get in a prop of light. It's gonna be a type of string. Default is gonna be, no, let's make it a boolean value. The default is gonna be true for it. All right, and let's make a dark one too, type boolean, and the default value for the dark one is gonna be false. All right, now let's do a dynamic class. So for using a dynamic class in a button or in any Vue component, you just do it in two ways. The first one is bind the class and pass in an array of classes to it. So let's say I'm going to convert the classes into an array. So yep, so right now if we have dark as true, then we render dark here, and if it's not true, then we render light. All right, class dark is a prop. Why is it showing me an error? All right, this has to be a small colon. Yep, so it's a ternary class, if else. So let's remove the light class because we don't need it, and it's gonna be a light button by default. And if we're gonna pass a dark prop to it, let's say dark true, it's gonna render a dark button. And if it's like false, it's gonna render a light button. And if we're not gonna pass the dark prop, it's by default gonna take the light class, this one. So now it's a bit reusable, right? So if I'm gonna copy let's name it dark, and let's create another button called light, and let's give it a dark prop as true. So now we've got two buttons. The one is dark and the other one is light. All right, cool. Let's do something like app. I want them in a column orientation. Let's do an app. Let's give it a display of flex. Let's do flex direction column. Yep. Let's do one more thing. Let's give it a class. Let's make it a little cool. Let's give it a style. Okay, forget it. I wanted to have spaces between these two. So let's give a style, inline style to the light button. Let's give it a margin top of 10 pixels. So it's gonna come a little down. So this is a light button. This is the dark button. So buttons are usually used to perform an operation or something, like submitting a form or executing a function which does something. So here our buttons are not that useful. They just have a theme with a dark and a light mode, but they literally don't do anything right now. So let me give it a click method. Let's say handle click. So whenever I click the button, it's gonna fire a function called handle click, which is present inside methods. Handle click is gonna do console.log hello. All right, so let me open the console. Let me just reduce the size of it and increase this so that we can clear the console first. Let's click it. Okay, it's not doing anything. Handle click is there. I think we have to reload this. All right, it's reloaded. Now let's click it. So yep. But the catch here is that we've got two different buttons. So let's say the dark performs some operation, let's say operation 1, and the light performs operation 2. But in our case right now, dark prints hello to the console and light also prints an hello to the console. So that's not like really useful, right? So let's make it a little useful. Let's do v on $listeners. So what this is going to do is, if I'm going to pass any listener to the button component that I just made, so let's say on click, if I'm going to pass at click, and I'm going to say run handle dark, sorry, I misspelled it, handle dark, and on click of the white button, we can say handle light. Let's create the two functions. Let's take it off. Let's delete these methods. Let's copy it. Let's copy it from here. Let's paste it here, and let's do handle dark once. Let's copy the function once again and let's paste it. Let's do handle light. So let's say dark and let's say light. So now we have binded two different methods with our custom built dynamic button component. So let's clear the console. Let's refresh it and let's click dark and it prints dark to the screen. Let's click light and it's printing light to the screen. Yep. So that's pretty dynamic. We can do a whole lot of stuff to this button, like we can have a rounded prop which makes it a rounded button. We can have something like big prop which makes it a big button and stuff like that. So I hope this video was useful to you and you guys learned something from it. So let's wrap this up and let me think, what should I choose next and make a video on it. So basically I'm not going to do a plain tutorial videos. I'm going to select some common problem or a common thing that people do, and then I'm going to do it so that people get a practical hands-on experience on doing stuff like creating dynamic components or doing some stuff which is done on a regular basis in projects and stuff like that. So yep, thanks for watching. I hope you liked the video and I hope it helped you to learn something new. Have a good day, guys.